difficult situations, but there's sometimes an opportunity for someone to take charge, like a political leader, a religious leader, someone that even in a difficult situation just is there and helps the community. Or maybe someone in the organization that, doesn't complain, but just goes and does things. He's able to see the agency he or she has in the organization. And for instance, when you have such a wonderful person, like for instance, you have a woman that's quite a leader that doesn't say things are impossible, but she actually goes in and creates the reality around her. So this is actually a creative leader. And a creative leader is someone that can use this productively, enhances people. She is able to see the good around her and able to actually see how the situation can be improved, which is the opposite to a reactive type leader. So reactive type leader is a person that emphasizes caution over creating results. So she would probably be afraid to act. She would act from fear. A reactive type leader is someone that's controlling, that's driving the organization instead of being really welcoming. So a reactive type leader is a person that derives her leadership from fear rather than the possibility of creation. So again, a creative type leader is someone that creates the reality around herself. A reactive type leader is someone that is driven by the situation, driven by fear, driven by difficult circumstances, and is not able to use her leadership style productively. So, any questions so far to these two styles? Again, creativity versus fear. One is quite conducive to great leadership and achievement. The other, unfortunately, isn't. And it's a bit of a problem. Sometimes leading from fear is necessary because the situation is really difficult and we go there naturally. But it's just difficult if it constantly persists. We see these situations all over the world or over organizations, and it's not fun to be there. And probably people are hurting, and the organizations aren't able to achieve their purpose and their destiny. So what we're going to do now is so these three things, I don't know why the resolution is so low, but essentially they form a circle. So I'm going to quickly press escape and leave my screen shared as it is. So basically it's a bit of a circle. We've got creative at the top, reactive at the bottom, and we've got the three leadership styles that we spoke about on the sides. And it's, again, as you said, it's a bit of a continuum. You can't have purely one. I guess there are these gray areas between the leadership styles. So you've got the left, which is the heart, the right, which is the will, and the middle, which is the mind. And all of them can be great, amazing, and positive. But the challenge is when they're not, when they're reactive. So what I wanted to cover next is I wanted to do a bit of a breakout room, but there isn't enough of us to be able to work. So I'll work with you in the main room on the screen. So we'll do about a bit of that. So there are a couple of dimensions that describe the leadership styles. They're like the competencies or types of behaviors we use. And the exercise here is all about being able to place these post-its in the appropriate sections of the circle. So if you're willing to play with me here, what we're going to do is I'm going to go one by one, and I'll ask you where do you think these should be placed. So we'll do it as one big room. So the first one that we're going to talk about is achieving. So achieving is the extent to which the leader offers visionary, authentic, and high achievement leadership. So achieving is focusing on achievement, and this is like a very important aspect for this particular leader. So when I take this post-it, and I think about, is it heart, is it mind, or is it will, or is it creative or reactive? Where do you think I should place it? Unfortunately, you're muted. Oh, thank you.
So that you are not lonely, Tomasz. Oh,
yes, help me.
I see ZM is also unmuted. I mean,
Yes.
that appears to be creative, and also so somewhere within the creative and the results, that means the will. So somewhere there, yeah. So creative and yeah, because this person is result oriented, but because the person is visionary, a person who is visionary cannot be reactive, and because the person is authentic, you cannot be reactive if you are willing to be authentic. I mean, you can be, but if you're visionary, you can be reactive. So I think
I
that's
guess so. Yeah, and Zetem, what do you think?
When I actually unmuted, I wanted just to slightly repeat it because, sorry, I'm trying to multitask while I'm attending the conference. I'm also busy with work.
Oh, no worries.
It's quite interesting, the diagram that you have. So before I can actually place the achieving, let me just make sure that I caught it while you're wanting to understand maybe where they are fitting between a leadership style of one who's creative against one who's reactive.
Mm-hmm. So the reactive one is the one driven by fear. The creative one is driven by the possibility. And we've got obviously heart, mind, and will. And we're trying to identify where to place it. So maybe we can try with the next one, which is protecting. So protecting is the belief that the leader can protect himself or herself and establish a sense of worth through withdrawal and remaining distant, hidden, aloof, cynical, and rational. Right, so I'm trying to protect myself, going into my, cynicism, aloofness, and just being distant. So, where do you think this one should be placed?
I think perhaps under the reactive.
Mm-hmm. And is it a heart, mind, or will? Which of these three should it go to?
Sure. So maybe somewhere in between the mind and the heart, because with that protectiveness, maybe the individual is trying to make sure that they're not wrong, they're always right, they don't want to dent their ego. So I'm thinking somewhere in between the heart and the mind, and is reactive.
All right, thank you. So we'll discover the model answers later on, but let's try to do the rest. Controlling. Controlling is the extent to which the leader establishes a sense of personal worth through accomplishments of personal achievement. Like, it's all about the achievement. So where do you think it should go?
Definitely between the will and the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere between the will and the mind.
And do you think it's actually creative or reactive, or in between?
I believe that it's kind of reactive.
Mm-hmm.
No. True task accomplishment. I think it's in between. Because it's definitely between the will and the mind. This person thinks a lot. This person is driven.
Mm-hmm.
This person is in now. And so it has to be in between. The person can be creative, but also be reactive. When the
so
pressure,
it's more like over here. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, no worries. Well, it's like we're learning, right? We're trying to learn by applying the model. So authenticity. Authenticity means that the leader is capable to relate in an authentic and courageous way and highly intelligent manner. So relating to others and being really authentic. Where do you think it should go?
I'm thinking creative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the combination of the will, the mind, and the heart. I'm seeing authenticity where this individual is wanting to create a collaborative atmosphere in leading the team, and is wanting, the team to actually bring out their strengths. So I'm thinking creative, and a combination of each, because then we'll see the world that, they determined, the heart, thinking about how the others can actually bring out themselves in a way, influencing them.
That truck should not get here today.
Okay, so I've placed it there. Let's move on slowly and talk about complying. Oh, Elizabeth, I'll mute you a bit because you have some background noise. So complying is the extent to which a leader gets a sense of self-worth and security by complying with the expectations of others and actioning what they want. So Zetem and Ferry, where do you want to place it? Where do you think it should go? Complying.
I mean, when you're talking about expectation of others, so this person is a codependent, and relationships, what people think about the person is important. So definitely it's a hard thing. And so somewhere between the heart and the mind, mind is somebody who leads with ideas. So no, not mind, so heart.
Yes,
so,
and is it reactive or creative?
I think it's definitely reactive.
All right. Okay. So let's look at relating. Actually, this goes next to it. Is the leader that has the capability to relate to others in a way that brings the best in people's groups and organizations. So relating.
That's the way I lead. And that's why I say I'm a whole person. That's the way I lead, but I'm whole. So I use my heart, I use my mind, I use my will. I'm concerned about everything. That's why it's hard to actually separate this thing. So relating, I'll say it's all of it. And I'll put it more in the area of creative.
Okay, so it's like in the middle, but more into the creative. That's okay. And self-awareness, we've got two left, is the leader's orientation to ongoing professional and personal development, as well as the degree of which the inner self-awareness is expressed through high integrity.
That's the way I lead to, and it's the same thing. It's in between. It's where relating is. I think the last three are all, self-awareness.
But when you think about it, if you had to place it in one, right? Because it's just easy to say in the middle, but great. But the model says there's three types. So which one is it the closest to? Heart, mind, or will?
I really will put it in heart, because this is a person who is really synchronized. Their thoughts, their heart, and their hands are all synchronized. I call it the 3H model. So this person is thinking, relating with people, but still relating with themselves, for making sure their heart is connected. So I think it's a hard thing. The mind and the heart are synchronized, both self and both with others. So I'll put it more in the heart side.
Okay, I've put it there. And self-awareness. So again, you're self-aware of your whole self, and how can you improve the productivity in the community? So where do you think this should go?
Which are the systems awareness?
Systems awareness, sorry, yes, of course. So it's like a wider outlook. Self-awareness looks on yourself, but systems awareness looked obviously outside
at the environment. And with it's definitely creative, and it has to be in the middle, really, with systems awareness. I mean, because you are relating with yourself, but you are relating with the system around you. So with relating, they are in the same space. I know you want to put it in a box, but I don't think you can do that for all of them.
I'm not saying we have to, right? But again, I think this exercise is all about us reflecting on it. So of course, all models are wrong, but some are useful. So this is what the leadership circle says in terms of, putting it, as you say, in a box, just aligning. So when you see like self-awareness is more on the relationship side and systems awareness is more on the achievement side and the will, but authenticity and protecting is quite of a mind thing. But again, it's just about being able to explore the model and seeing what you think about it. But again, I think the principle, as you say, the 3H, I use it a bit differently as heart, mind, and will, because this is how they evolved it in the leadership circle. It's a frame of reference, as much as Agile is the frame of reference. So when you look at agility, I think there's lots of definitions that you could use, and I'm using the Lisa Atkins's one, which is Agile is just an emergent response to what happens in the universe, what happens around us, and how we react to it. The world is quite a complex place nowadays. It has always been, I guess, and it's up to us, the leaders, to be able to react to it. And I think this is a brilliant definition of agility. So with that, what I wanted to do is I wanted to use the same model we've used before, and I have some icons over here. And again, we'll workshop in the main room, which is what I wanted to do is, looking at the model as it is right now, I've got 3 icons that I call the agile growers. So I was wondering which of the aspects are actually growing agility the most, and I've got agile poisoners, which is which aspects are actually poisoning agility inside the organization. And there's a hand.
I have a question. I want
Yes.
you to see if you can put what we selected, if you can put it next to this. Let's see a comparison of
Oh
it.
yeah, I think we can, of course.
So that we can do some learning here.
Of course, I think this is an easy thing to do. So if I go and put it here, this is what we get.
Okay, so we want to put it side by side with what? Okay, yes, great.
So you can actually see, the results from our exploration. And actually, we haven't been, that different to the model, right? Again, it's just a model, but we've got a lot of things aligned to it. Now, obviously, and as I say, right, it's okay to disagree with the model. It's just a frame of reference.
Yes. Okay, so controlling was on that wheel. Okay, we put it between the wheel and the mind. Okay, very good.
Everything's on the wheel when you look at it, right?
No, I mean, sorry, I meant the wheel. W-I-L.
Oh yes, the wheel. I'm sorry, misheard. Yes.
Okay. Not
the controlling
wheel.
is quite an according to the model, controlling is quite an expression of the will, which is quite reactive. So you have fear and you're trying to control the situation. Yes, and as is achieving, and systems awareness is somewhere between this. But then again, as we quickly talked about how we definitely we're really good in identifying the creative and reactive. And I think it's just when it comes to the 3H model, or the heart, mind, and will, sometimes it's just difficult. But then again, I think this is the process of learning. So going back to Agile, let's think about which of these 8 are the most growing towards agility. Which of them have to be present for agility to grow in your organization? So what do you think, wonderful ladies?
I think a bit of authenticity. The mind really needs to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to kind of like see the authenticity linked more with a heart element. I think in agile environments, there's a lot of requirement for you to be able to quickly adapt. And some of that requires, as a creative leader, to be able to spot the interaction with your team and be able to encourage, the strengths that, are transpiring out to actually, ensure that those authenticities come out and provide what's needed in the agile environments that are coming about nowadays.
That's a good one, and you're right. But the interesting thing is that the heart focuses on relationships, and sometimes when you're really authentic, it means that you might be going across the relationship. So someone may authentically be angry, or someone may authentically be disappointed, or it's like it's not always going from the heart, because sometimes, unfortunately, to be authentic means I understand the relationship, but I'll still be out my authentic self, even if I'm difficult. So this is why it's with the mind, because it's someone that detaches themselves from the relationships and gives themselves the ability to be authentic. Are there any other dimensions that you think are necessary for Agile to thrive?
How about achieving?
Mm-hmm. And why is achieving important for agility?
I think in the times that we are living in, results are very important. Results, people want to see that it's not just talk, but I mean, it's something that gets done.
Yeah. And that's quite true, right? There is a lot of, people promising snake oil and promising that, they will do a culture change. And when there is no results, it can really destroy agility, because at the end of the day, everyone's looking, to get something out of it. All right. What about the third place? Where would you place the third agile grower in the circle? Well, we can leave the third behind, but we can talk about the poisoners. So if you're thinking about agility and this model of leadership, is there anything here that you think is a real poisoner of agility? Something that when you see in the organization can really put Agile down and, make it die?
Controlling for sure.
Why is that?
I agree. I agree.
I mean, kind of human beings want autonomy, self-autonomy. They want to be able to kind of make decisions and understand that their own thoughts and ideas are useful to the whole picture. But when you minimize people and you tell them that they have to do things your own way and you are really in now, that will definitely storm creativity and it will disrupt the harmony in the place, So a person who's really controlling really cannot also be somebody who is really adaptable and agile in their thinking.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's people will really quote it as the main thing that destroys agility. So is there another thing?
On that
Yeah,
point?
go ahead.
Just to add a little bit without interrupting the words that Winifred mentioned there, but especially with the people element, with a leader who's like that my way. Another thing that I've seen is that it instills a fear, and people are now, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? And therefore they are kind of like put into a corner, and it's a case of it limits the progression and moving forward.
Absolutely right. Controlling is the lack of trust, and when people don't have trust, especially from the leaders, what happens is, fear is being bred, and it creates an atmosphere which isn't safe, and it's not safe to fail, and this is where agility goes to die. It's very unfortunate, but we see it all over, and yet we still permit controlling, and we still permit to be controlled, even in agile environments. And then, unfortunately, we're surprised that it fails. So, all right, we know that controlling is a huge challenge. What else is trying to kill agility in our organizations?
I also believe that protecting, controlling things that are fear-based, because fear can be so contagious. It's like a mind virus. You can like a cold, you can transfer it from one person to the other. And fear, when you look at what it does is that it sets a chemical reaction in the brain. It causes your amygdala to hijack your prefrontal cortex. And when that happens, you really cannot be agile because you can't think. You can't think outside the box. So whether you are controlling or protecting, if you're protecting, you're nearly choking the person, just even a mother so protective of their children. The child is not free to soar and fulfill their potential. So the effect of controlling and protecting on the brain is the same. And so I don't think it creates it helps you be agile in your thinking or can create agility in your environment.
Yeah, Wilfred, absolutely. When there's fear, easily you can get the hijack from the amygdala. So, there is no place for creativity. You're right, and no place for performance. So there you go, right? Is there anything else that you think is poisoning agility in organizations? Like, what's the third place?
I think all those things on that reactive, complying too.
So how is complying poisoning agility? What do you think?
What do I think? I'm going to ask Angela what Angela Upoma thinks because I'm tired of hearing my voice.
Yes.
So Angela, what do you think? Why do you think complying can be a potential poison? Let's interact with Tomasz. Angela, what do you think? Maybe Angela is not there, but we know Elizabeth is there.
Elizabeth, are you here? Yeah, help us. What do you think?
Help us, Elizabeth.
Well, I think, other people may be just listening in. Oh, Elizabeth, yes.
Coming on.
You're here.
Okay, good afternoon. Based on my opinion, I feel compliance may be a hindrance in terms of doesn't it allow the individual to think out of the box or to take risks. It's more like adhering to the status quo. Just do what you're told and you're not being innovative. That's what I feel.
Quite true. Yeah, and I think you're right. I think, compliant people will just do whatever they want, as you say, won't challenge the status quo. And yeah, there is no, I'm not saying a revolution, but I'm mainly saying, there is no courage to be able to try something new, because a compliant person just wants to go with the flow and, will just do things the traditional way. And it's not what the Agile revolution is all about. We try to do things differently. We try to constantly improve the way we work so we can inspect and adapt. And a compliant person would probably find it quite hard. So, again, these freestyles are amazing, but doing them in a creative way is much more helpful towards agility than trying to dip into the fear-based reactive side.
Can I ask a question, Tomasz?
Go ahead, Sven. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't put my hand up. I hope
No,
that's okay.
don't worry about it. Yeah, there's only a few of us.
I wanted to ask, like, for instance, when we were talking about the controlling elements and the protectiveness, which is, it stifles that the team members that are being led. Do you think that leaders who are like that are aware, or is it just a matter of, like we're touching on now, this is what they've seen other leaders who have been their, what is it called, as predecessors? This is how they've done it in their time or in their period when they were, in those positions. And now it's just a case of, this is what I've seen and it's worked in that sort of like period. And then it should just work now that I'm also in, and not paying close attention to what impact it has on those that are being led.
Such a good question. Are they aware? Probably not. Most, I think, we do have a bit of a skew and a bias over here because this is what we're dealing with day in, day out. But I guess you might be able to agree that most of people are actually not aware of what's happening in their mind, well, how they're thinking. This kind of meta thinking, it's not being educated. We're not taught to think like that in school. And, I'm not only talking about this model, any other model, right? Where a lot of people don't reflect. They just do things the way they do because as a human being, normally we try to optimize. We rarely people think deeply, and even rarer they think about how they think. So unfortunately, I would say most people are not aware. And if you are aware, and if you're able to reflect, I guess you're doing the first step in improving.
I hear you. Thanks, Thomas.
This is why, you know, the model is there, because, you know, there's a survey that helps you, and this is how we work with organizations. We actually build this leadership consciousness with people, because, you know, it's difficult to look into the mirror of how you think, how you lead, how you behave. It's difficult to face your fears, and it's difficult to look at the fact that you're not perfect. And what if you're a leader that everyone looks up to for leadership and looks up as an image of perfection? How difficult it is to say to yourself, hey, maybe I'm controlling, or maybe I'm protecting, or maybe I'm complying. It's incredibly, because these people, when you're a leader, you're being pushed into a corner, and there's expectations that people have of you. You're supposed to be all-knowing. Your decisions have to be correct. You're supposed to do this and that, and it's a huge pressure usually, right? And you're the leader. People gave you this responsibility, and they look to you for leadership, so you can solve these problems. And it's difficult for a person like this to look into the mirror and say, I'm not perfect. They have to tell themselves the story that they can manage, because if they don't, they'll let their people down. So, but on the other hand, you all know how difficult it can be when the leader has no consciousness about the way they lead and they refuse to improve. We've all worked for these leaders, and we've all seen these organizations, and we've all lived in these countries.
Yeah.
It's sad, isn't it?
Sure.
That's just the human condition, I guess. And this is why we're here. This is why you're here, to help improve the leadership in the world. This is why you're organizing this conference, to help improve the thinking about agility, and, you know, have the revolution in Africa too, and with women. That's the beauty of it, right? Because you are actually the movement. You are the ones that are being creative, that take the initiative to do that. You are the ones that talk to leaders. I'm the one that talks to leaders. We are all talking to leaders in our organizations, in our countries, in our communities, for them to understand, hey, this is what you're doing. Have a look. You could be doing it better. You could be getting better results. People could be happier with you. It's just look in the mirror, and, you know, let's just see if we can improve something, because by God, no one's perfect.
Yeah.
No one ever is.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a pitch, and we're doing our best to do this kind of work, as difficult as it is, because you encounter a lot of resistance. You encounter a lot of like, oh, this is airy-fairy, right? This is just something, you know. No, I'm a great leader because I get great results, or I'm a great leader because I have great ideas, or I'm a great leader because everyone loves me. and well, it is what it is. And, you know, the world would have been a better place if all the leaders were perfect, but it will never be so, because we are human beings and we're imperfect, and I'm imperfect. Maybe I'm too arrogant saying that I can help leaders. It's not that we have imposters. So it's all about being able to be reflective, being able to be vulnerable in these situations, and we would be living in a better planet and a better Africa if people were like that. But we might get there at one point. It's up to us, the change agents, to help people get there.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a tirade by me. So this is the work we're doing. We're the Humble Associates. Humble is in our name. We're trying to be humble about the fact that we don't know ourselves. We're humble about the fact that this work is difficult, and the complex adaptive systems are always surprising us. We love this work, and, you know, if you'd like to maybe work with us, or you'd like us to help you, just give us a shout, and, you know, we'd love to have a chat. This is the work we're doing. So with that, that's the talk. It's a bit shorter because we had to do the exercises ourselves. Usually there's a bit more time when there's more people doing breakouts. But thankfully, we now have some time for questions and answers. So is there anything?
Yeah, so if you have questions, please, this is the best time to ask them.
And I think
Yeah.
you're live streaming the
You can,
talk. So
yes,
yes, you can
yeah.
also put the questions on Telegram. I have it open.
Okay.
I have a comment. I do not have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, Tomasz, I just want to commend you for facilitating. That's kind of what I see you have done. Not really lecturing. You've kind of facilitated such an excellent session. Just your calm disposition has enabled us to engage with you and to connect with you on a heart level, not just on a head level. So that's why I kind of put on my camera to engage with you. But excellent facilitation, just even asking us to stand up, and engage with you. That just change of physical positioning just heightened my interest in what you were talking about. So keep up the good work. I would definitely be reaching out to you. But I just wanted to tell you, excellent presentation, excellent facilitation, and there's a lot of work to do in leadership, whether we're leading ourselves, whether we're leading others, or whether we're leading organizations. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your great participation. I think it wouldn't be a workshop without you and your contributions and the discussions, right? And I believe that you can read a book and watch a YouTube video. Being in a conference is actually connecting to the presenters, connecting to the material. It's like trying to experience it and trying to be a part of it, trying to co-create it, because if it isn't that, it's just a YouTube video, right? And it's just a PowerPoint deck. I hate it personally, and I know that a lot of people are doing that, but I do not believe nowadays in 2022, when we're sitting in front of screens so much, and even if we're in the room, it's just not enough to show slides. It never was, and we should demand more of people that are leading and of people that are trying to convey and help us build some knowledge. So let's get a revolution started.
So can you share your LinkedIn, please?
Oh yes, of course. I'll put it in the thingy over here in the chat. Okay, I'll just quickly get it over here. That's well, actually, I have a very simple link. But okay, so TK. So it's tk.coach. TK coach. It's quite easy to put in, but there's also, oh, here it is. That's my LinkedIn. It refers to it. So I'd love to be connected. TK.coach. We're actually putting out a lot of events ourselves now. So if you follow me, if you connect to me, I'll make sure to invite you. We're always doing workshops. We're always doing facilitations. We do have thousands of people in our events. So yeah, feel free to come along. Everyone's invited. I love to have people from all around the world. I think 2020, 2021, 22, and hopefully all the years going forward will be very inclusive to everyone. And it's not only that you have to be in London, you can be where you are, helping your local community, helping your local country, and still be on the workshop with us, which I totally love, because we have voices from all around the world.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
We'll connect with you on LinkedIn and get abreast with your events. I think this will be a nice opportunity for all of us. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this session. And thank you, Tomasz, for what a brilliant session that you give. Even though we're few, well, you made it more practical intensive. And you facilitated
so
it
much.
very well. So we would love to have you some other time. We do have apart from this, we do have a meetup where we talk about agile and agile practices. I will connect with you on LinkedIn on that. That's another talk for another session. All right.
And there's more talks that I can give. Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting me, and have an amazing rest of the conference.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.